Hello everyone and welcome to the nutrition panel. Today's topic is something that is coming up very shortly, and it's the Olympics in London for 2012. Today I have my lovely panelists with me, and we'll be having a special guest specialising in protein supplementation and sports. So to the left of me I have Doris. Doris will be talking about...
I'll be talking about somatotyping for athletes and the different body compositions they should be having.
And Jessica?
I'm going to be talking about creatine and caffeine and which sports need to manage down.
Gabby?
I'm going to be talking about hydration, coconut water and sports drinks.
And we've got Jenna.
And I'm going to be talking about delayed onset muscle soreness and ways that we might be able to prevent them, and other ways that probably aren't going to do anything for you.
Yes. And I will be talking about carbohydrates and carbohydrate loading. So, let's begin with Doris.
Okay, so today, again, as I already mentioned, we will be talking about somatotyping. So,
What is somatotyping? What does it mean?
Okay, so basically somatotyping means the different body composition that athletes can have. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is for athletes, it can be for the everyday individual. There are 3 different types of somatotypes. Can you guys name any from back in PE?
Endomorph?
Beautiful, yeah.
Ectomorph?
Ectomorph, and there's one last one.
Yeah, the mesomorph.
Fabulous, yeah. Can you guys tell me what the different characteristics each of those 3 body types holds?
Mesomorphs are the athletic ones?
Yeah. Mesomorphs are the not only athletic, but they are quite muscly.
Okay.
So if we think about the 3 different body types, mesomorph, we know that is muscly, so I like to think of it as M&M. Endomorph is those ones that are quite stocky but do have more of an adipose fat tissue. And the ectomorph is the leaner ones, so they do tend to be quite lean, quite tall as well.
The sprinters?
The sprinters, yeah, great. So yeah, there are different types of somatotypes that do cater for the different types of sports. So body shapes, are found within sports today, and they basically have come from the evolution of sports generations. So if we think about ectomorphs, like you said, Jenna, they do come with sprinting, but can you guys think of anything else that might be another sport for an ectomorph?
Like endurance?
Absolutely. So they need to be lean, quite fit as well, and hold that endurance capacity.
So, is this something that you get genetically?
It can be genetic.
So if you say...
It is more so genetic rather than anything. There has been research that has shown, which is really interesting actually, that people with large to arm span are better off doing a sport like rowing, because they use their arms and the oars to row. So they've actually studied that people with a larger wingspan, absolutely, are better off with those sports and do hold a higher performance rate.
What are some of the other ones? Would racket sports, because they need the reach?
Absolutely, yeah, rackets. So things like tennis, you do find that they are quite lean. You don't really find many muscly women or men, but you can
With
think
the
of...
exception of Serena.
Exactly, I was just about to say that. But more so, the leaner builds are, more likely and do have a better performance in tennis. So people like Novak Djokovic, Gabby, Rafael Nadal, Gabby's favourite. Also Andy Murray, who is quite lean. So they all have the genetic disposition of being leaner and taller. and it's actually favourable for their performance in that particular sport. What about mesomorph, guys?
Bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding, fantastic. Javelin?
Sure, that's quite a common sport.
So all the in track and field, all the field.
More field-based, absolutely, and bodybuilding, weightlifting as well. They need the muscular capacity to do those short-term sports. So think of it, it's a burst of energy, and they need that muscle to reach those levels, as opposed to that endurance. Okay. And what about endomorph? It's a bit of a hard one.
Gymnastics.
Gymnastics would be ectomorph.
Okay.
Just because they need to be leaner, so
Sedentary lifestyle. Sitting on the couch.
Sumo wrestling.
Sumo wrestling, yeah, absolutely. Is it a sport in the league?
It's not. I've got all of them here. What about judo? No, they would have to be fairly.
Muscular, but more endomorph.
Well, their body shape doesn't really seem to give them an advantage to anything. I'm sure that they could be successful in sports.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
do they actually get an advantage from their body shape?
It is actually.
Can you change
you have
your
a
body
question?
shape?
Before you have a question, I will answer Jess's. But it is actually favourable to have that genetic disposition for the somatotype for the particular sport that they are having or they are doing and performing.
But what sports?
So, for example, like I said, rowing. If you have a high,
So it has
larger
nothing to do
wingspan,
with their body shape, just their other.
well, that is part of the body shape.
Isn't your
Yeah.
wingspan just how tall you are?
Exactly. But the taller you are, the leaner you'll be.
Yeah.
Have you found quite a
No.
really?
I think you can have tall people who are overweight.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
can, you definitely can, but the more people that I've seen tend to be taller and leaner because
And
they
can you
can't.
change your body shape? Can you change your size?
Absolutely.
So
think
if you're
think
not
about Grant.
born-
Grant.
Hackett?
Yes, that was his name. Think about him. He used to be quite muscly for his sport. I mean, he was a swimmer. Yeah, he was a swimmer, and did have that combination of ectomorph but mesomorph. So if you think about swimmers, they do need to be quite lean, but he did have predominantly that mesomorph shape.
Yeah.
But look, he went to being an endomorph quite quickly. His lifestyle and diet and exercise habits.
Jeff Hugel as
Yeah,
well.
Jeff-
I
that's-
remember.
Sorry,
yeah,
that
that's the
was-
person
that
I
was-
gonna say.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Sorry, that's the person I was.
So
thinking
it's not really just you're sort of stuck with your body shape.
of. Absolutely, absolutely, and they have done studies on even twins that have been separated at birth. Some have actually been quite leaner. The other twin may have been a lot larger, and that's basically lifestyle related. So
Although
it is.
when you talk about like adipose tissue,
Yeah.
you build that up when you're a child. So if you're having lots of fatty foods when you're a kid, it actually makes more adipose tissue that then can be filled up with fat. So it's obviously is a bit lifestyle related as well as genetics.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
They definitely go hand in hand. Another thing to consider, guys, is that people can actually be a combination of the three. So if you think about it, people can actually be an ectomorph that have that sort of ectomorph form, and then also have that mesomorph as well characteristic. So if you think about it, I mean, I had done an assessment on quite a few people when I was in Melbourne doing some research, and what I found is that people can actually have the three types, but just in different levels. So one lady that I had met actually had ectomorph and endomorph and mesomorph all balanced. So the number that she had was 3, 3, and 3, which meant that she was like basically a balance of the whole mesomorph, endomorph,
Now, what
ectomorph.
sport would she be sort of What
More suitable to.
Yeah, we actually asked one of the physiotherapists at the clinic what type of sport would she be suitable for. I mean, that's a hard one because she is all balanced, and we couldn't really find an answer for that.
Yeah, I think that's something that's under research. Like, what proportion do you need to be to
More
really excel at a
ectomorph,
certain sport? So
Absolutely.
I just thought of one, archery. Archery is probably one where you can be
A balance?
no, the one that's predominantly
Ectomorph or
endomorph.
endomorph? The more solid.
Because they don't, they're shooting, like they're shooting as well, but archery, like you don't need to sort of have a particular body shape in order to shoot and have that sort of pinpoint precision.
Yeah.
So I guess those are the sports in Olympics that have that body type.
I just saw another sport, shot put. They're all really stocky.
They are, yeah,
So
that's
they'd be
right.
like muscly and
And endomorph.
Yeah.
So endomorph and mesomorph. So you do find that they have a combination.
Yeah.
And we compare it on a graph what type of sport would be more suitable for. So for myself, I can say that I'm more ectomorph and endomorph, which is a surprise because I'm quite lean. But my proportion of mesomorph was actually the lowest out of the three. So I was actually, a lot skinny, but I also had adipose tissue in proportion to my muscle tissue.
Okay.
When we were doing skin folds and girths, so it actually is a good analysis. The girl next to me was quite a similar frame, actually like pretty much the same frame, and she ended up being more ectomorph and mesomorph, and her lowest proportion was endomorph, so which meant that she was a lot skinny, a lot leaner, but also had more muscle tissue in comparison to her adipose tissue.
So I would think that when they go to Olympics, the top athletes definitely have, they have the physios and the sports dietitians that do measure their anthropometry, and they keep a close eye on it.
Yeah, good point that you brought that up, because one of the ladies that I was working with up at the Melbourne Research Institution, she was actually a physiotherapist for the Warriors, and she said they had to do a monthly check of the skin folds to ensure that these guys were keeping up to scratch with their training. And so they would go into a warning pool where if they didn't maintain, their skin folds, like a certain percentage of body fat, then they would be either kicked out or retrained and reassessed. So it's good that you brought that up.
This leads into a little bit of a grey area where athletes have to be really well nourished with carbohydrates, which can turn to fat. So athletes get scared that if they do gain some, body fat, they want to restrict their carbohydrates. So I guess that's a big struggle, and I think that's why a lot of athletes do need to talk to their dietitians in order to, still have enough kilojoules to enhance their performance, but still have the low percent of body fat to actually excel at their sport.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's great. Doris, was there anything else? That's a really good topic and something that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I think we'll wrap it up on my end.